It was round 2 of the Winston Under the Lights last night. The Grand National Tour is set to go in Pennsylvania this afternoon, and NHRA records have already been shredded in New Jersey. That's all next on Race Day. And good morning, everybody. I'm Pat Patterson. Thanks for joining us. And I don't know about you, but I am still buzzing about last night's racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the second year in a row. The Winston and the Winston Open went under the lights. And if you were watching TNN last night, you saw all the action live. In case you didn't see it, let's wrap it up. First with the Winston Open, here's Mark Allen.
In the early laps of the Winston Open, pole sitter Jeff Gordon was out front with Brett Bodine close behind for this 50-lap race to qualify 5 for the Winston All-Star Show. Rick Wilson in the STP Pontiac had trouble in turn 4 but was able to gather it up. A few laps later, Greg Sachs had smoke showing from his machine, but it cleared up and the Country Time pilot kept it going. The first caution came out when the leader lost control of his Chevrolet through turn 4. The rookie from Indiana had led the first 24 laps in the DuPont machine. Gordon was fine, but understandably upset. Passing the 30-lap mark, and Sterling Marlin was the front runner, but right behind him was Ken Schrader, who started way back in the field and was now knocking on the leader's door. With 8 laps to go, Schrader had his Kodiak-sponsored Chevy up front, trying to keep the Raybestos pilot in second. Dave Marcus was the next driver to make hard contact with the turn 4 wall. The veteran independent came to a stop in the grass and was fine. Back to green, and Marlin was again leading the way, and that's exactly where the Tennessee native stayed as he took his 3rd career Winston Open win. Other transfers to the Winston were second place Schrader, Bodine, Michael Waltrip, last year's winner, and Rick Mast.
Then it was time for the Winston, a 70-lap race with at least $200,000 awaiting the winner.
The bombs were bursting in air. The grandstands were as full as they could be as the 20 Winston Cup stars started the 3-segment 70-lap shootout with at least $200,000 going to the winner. In the opening circuits, pole sitter Ernie Irvin was the leader, trying to hold off a pack of cars in his Kodak-sponsored Chevy. The man on the move was Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford as he bypassed the Budweiser machine of Bill Elliott and made his way into the top 5. At the end of the first 30 laps, it was all Irvin, who was way out front when the yellow flag flew, ending the opening segment. Second was Martin, followed by Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt. The 140,000 fans at Charlotte Motor Speedway were asked whether they wanted the field to be inverted for the start of the second segment. By a narrow margin, the fans said invert it. This gave Kyle Petty the pole, but his night was already done with a broken rocker arm, giving Harry Gant the number 1 position. First caution of that event came out on lap 2 when Michael Waltrip got together with Gant in turn 1. Dale Jarrett and Jimmy Hensley were both collected. All were fine, but their race cars weren't so lucky. Rick Mast was the dominant driver through the second segment, trying to become the first driver to win the Winston after transferring from the Winston Open. While the Skull Classic driver was leading the way, Irvin in the Kodak machine and Ken Schrader in the number 25 were battling for the 4th position. But at the end, it was Mast holding off Earnhardt for the win in segment number 2, followed by Martin, Schrader, and Irvin. In the 10-lap finale, the black and white number 1 didn't stay out front long as Mark Martin jumped to the point and Mast slipped back. On lap number 9, Terry Labonte lost a motor through the 4th turn and collected Bill Elliott. Elliott continued while Labonte was obviously out. It was time for a 2-lap shootout under the special rules. Earnhardt was a little too eager and jumped the start. NASCAR waved that one off and tried it again. When the green came out this time, it was the Goodwrench and Valvoline battle with Earnhardt getting the better of it and then holding off Martin to take the win and the big paycheck.
Well, I believe Mark had it won, and then when we got that caution and I got to restarting out, I jumped him a little, got a little anxious there, and maybe to do it again. And well, I said, hell, I'll just race him on the outside. And we beat him down in 3 and got by him. I don't know how I held him off.
Behind Earnhardt and Martin were Irvin in 3rd. 4th went to Ken Schrader, and rounding out the top 5 was Jeff Bodine. This is Mark Allen reporting for Race Day.
I don't know about you guys, but Earnhardt looked happier than I've seen for winning a championship after winning that race last night. Now, by winning the Winston, does Dale Earnhardt become the favorite for the Coca-Cola 600 next Sunday? Nope, not necessarily, because only 2 drivers, Darrell Waltrip and Davey Allison, have gone on to sweep both events at Charlotte the 7 times that it's been run there. Great show, nevertheless. All right, coming up next, NASCAR's AAA Series is in the Keystone State, so stay tuned.
Race Day, brought to you in part by Performax from Pennzoil, the new synthetic motor oil that protects to the max, and by Mopar Parts and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep and Eagle dealers who sell and install them.
If you want your car done right, bring it to Jiffy Lube and ask for Pennzoil. This year, millions of people will rely on the quality of Pennzoil and the confidence of the Jiffy Lube pledge of customer satisfaction.
Everybody says they'll do the job right, but at Jiffy Lube, we guarantee it.
We got experience at Jiffy Lube.
Jiffy Lube, America's favorite oil change.
One of these engines was filled with Castrol Syntec, a synthetic oil, the rest with conventional oils. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it leaves a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oils. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't.
She's an 83 with over 140,000 on-road and off-road miles. Must be in and out of it 150 times a day. It's a wonder the doors don't fall off. Only trouble was when the pig charged and caved in my door. I only used AC Delco. Cheaper parts can cost you a powerful lot. Of course, so can pigs.
AC Delco parts. It's like buying time.
Now through July 5th, save up to $11.60 on AC spark plugs and filters.
And welcome back, everybody. There have been 6 Formula One races this year, and Alain Prost is batting 1,000 in qualifying. Germany's Michael Schumacher is also on the front row. Then it's Senna and Hill on row 2. Michael Andretti starts 9th in Monte Carlo. Now, while the Winston Cup Tour gets well-deserved Sunday off, Busch Grand National stars are in Nazareth, Pennsylvania for the Lane Co. 200. Here's a look at qualifying yesterday.
The best of the BGN North drivers was Mike Stefanik in his Auto Palace Valvoline Pontiac. He toured the 1-mile layout for the 5th best starting position. He'll have his work cut out for him because qualifying in front of him was David Green, who almost won this race 2 years ago. He got the 4th spot. 3rd belongs to the man who beat Green 2 years ago, Chuck Bound, who is having trouble getting going in 1993. Still, this is one of his best tracks. Winding his way through the 5-turn Nazareth Speedway for outside front row honors is Ward Burton, who continues to surprise with his recent hot streak. But he was a good 1/10 of a second slower than the pole sitter Todd Bodine. The fiddle-faddle Chevy driver is the defending event champion and was the only qualifier to break into the 126-mile-per-hour class. His qualifying run was a textbook on how to drive Nazareth.
This place is so much like a road course, you can't overdrive it. It's terribly easy to overdrive it. Guy Ricky Craven, he ran a real good lap till he got to the last corner, and he just went in a little too deep, and that was the difference. And that was, I think, the key to getting the pole and running a good lap is being smooth.
It's Bodine's first pole of the season.
Meanwhile, the cry has gone up in the Grand National garage, "Stop Ward Burton." The Hardee's driver has now won the last 2 stops on the tour and has jumped from 14th to 6th in the Grand National points. A few minutes ago, I talked with the Virginia driver in our Max Race Cars report. All right, Ward, first of all, congratulations. It's a good place to start, outside pole position. I know you guys would have liked to have won the pole up there, but you didn't even get a second lap in, did you?
No, we didn't, Pat. We had a piece of debris come up and hit the end of that crank trigger, but, you know, that's just the way it goes. But Todd did a great job in qualifying, and we're going to start second today, which isn't bad.
You have really been on a roll. You've gotten a couple of wins already this year, and you've got a great starting spot up there. And I know that that's a racetrack that if your car is working good, you got a real shot at winning that race. What's made the difference in you guys over the last couple of months?
This Hardy J. Chisholm team, they're the ones that's doing it, led by Freddie Fryer. They're sticking to the basics. They found a lot of little things that were wrong with the car last year, and all of the cars, there's nothing tricked to them, and they're just doing their homework in the shop. I mean, every time we unload coming to the racetrack, it's pretty close, and then we just had to fine tune it. And I'm just tickled to death every time I go to the racetrack and see these guys working on those cars.
Are you 100% on this racetrack? And what I mean by that is, do you feel comfortable that you got the line down in your mind in each turn, because it's a tricky racetrack?
It is a tricky racetrack. You have to really stay on your toes. The apexes on this track are a little bit different than most of the ovals we go to, and entering the corner is really important, or how you'll exit the corner if your car is handling properly. So it takes a lot of driver concentration, and it takes a lot of that chassis to be working well today, but hopefully we can have a little bit of luck and be competitive today.
Looks like you're going to get a warm day. Tire wear a major factor, you think, today at all?
I'm not really sure. I think the Hoosier tires for us are going to be fine. It looked like both of the Hoosier and the Goodyear were dropping off equally. We ran about 25 laps straight yesterday, and the car seemed to get fast and was working a little bit better. Got it set up quite loose now, so that once the track starts tightening up, hopefully our chassis won't get too tight. But it's going to be a good race. There are a lot of good running cars out there today.
Any one key for you to win this race today? Anything special that you've got to do or the team's got to do?
Well, number one, we just got to stay focused and run one lap at a time, and don't think about winning another race. But I tell you what, if these cars keep running like they're running, we're going to have a lot more good weekends, and hopefully today might be one of them.
And just a reminder, folks, you can see the race flag-to-flag coverage of the Laneco 200 we've seen this afternoon at 1 o'clock right here on TNN. Mike Joy and the entire TNN announce team will call the action. Should be a great race. Now, the second part of the Nazareth doubleheader is the NASCAR Modified Show, and Mike Stefanik is on the pole. Doug Geoffrion, the Modified points leader, will line up next to him on the front row. Behind them will be Jeff Fuller on the inside of the second row, and on the outside of row number 2 will be Jan Leedy. Coming up next, the NHRA tackles Englishtown. Stick around.
Anything you can handle, we can handle. Yokohama high-performance tires.
At 180 miles an hour, Darrell Waltrip can't afford a bad part.
Ouch, man, that hurt. Like you, I need quality parts at the right price. And at Western Auto, we guarantee it. You'll find thousands of top name brand parts, all backed by Western Auto's unbeatable everyday low price guarantee. Right?
Right, DW. Pick up Haviland Formula 3 motor oil at Western Auto's unbeatable low price. Add more life to your car with Haviland Formula 3.
The right parts, unbeatable low prices. At Western Auto, we guarantee it.
Right, DW.
Monroe introduces road sensing technology. A new breed of Monroe shocks and struts that give you added control. New road sensing shocks and struts, only by Monroe. Designed to adjust automatically to give you added control without sacrificing comfort. Now comfort and control are automatic. New road sensing technology, only by Monroe.
Welcome back, everybody. In recent years, the NHRA's annual visit to Englishtown, New Jersey has been in July, but that stop has moved to this weekend, which meant lower temperatures and records galore in qualifying. In funny car, John Force shattered the ET record with a sensational 5:01 with a 9. He's after his 6th win of the year. Top fuel qualifying honors went to Jim Head, and that's his first #1 pass since coming over from funny car in 1988. His run with track record ET, and there's no surprise here in Pro Stock where Warren Johnson sits atop the field for the 6th time in 7th races. His ET and speed numbers are again track records. And of course, we'll have highlights of the finals tonight on race day. Now, the big smile in New Jersey this week was on Scott Geoffrion's face. It took 11 final rounds, but the Dodge Mopar driver persisted and finally got his first Nationals win. Last week in Memphis and earlier this morning, I talked to him in our Slick 50 Sky Shot. Scott, first of all, congratulations. That first Nationals win. They had to feel good in Memphis last week.
Boy, it sure did, Pat. I'll tell you, it probably took 20, 30 pounds off my shoulders there in Memphis last week, especially coming back here, with Mopar sponsoring this next event here in New Jersey. It sure did feel good not having to answer that question anymore about that bridesmaid.
What about your positioning today? How do you guys look as far as the rounds you're going to face today?
Well, I feel good. I'm just approaching it right now. I was looking at that first round and take it round by round, and the car, the Mopar Parts Dodge Daytona, is running real good here. We qualified 3rd. We run a 7:13, and we put a different bullet in today, a bullet that we qualified #1 with at Memphis, and I feel that, we're going to run a little bit better than we have in qualifying today.
Is there anything that perhaps you've changed, over these last couple, 3 races, even getting the win in Memphis a week ago? Have you approached the way you go to the starting line any differently?
I really haven't. We've just had some fluke things happen at the wrong time in the past. We felt a lot of those races last year, those final round appearances, we felt a few of those were ours, and so that's why my self-confidence wasn't really hurt. But I had a heck of a coach there in Memphis, and Darrell Alderman and David Hutchins. I mean, those guys in my corner really helped me out a lot.
What about the guys in the shop? Obviously, it's a shot in the arm to the guy that's behind the wheel, but for you guys, for the guys that work on that car, to finally see you get that green light, that win light, I know it meant a lot to them as well.
I sure think it did. It really fired my guys up, and they're working that much harder. If they were working 12-hour days before, they're working 16-hour days now, and that's what you need out here. And my guys back at Wayne County and Fairfield, there's no more dedicated crew than I have, I can tell you that.
All right, if today goes as planned, is it going to get hot to the point where lane choice is going to make a big difference towards the end of this one?
We always like to have lane choice. I think we're on an equal racetrack starting today, but you like to have lane choice, based on oil downs. If there's any oil downs out there, you like to be able to choose. I lost yesterday, I feel, because of the lane I was in the semifinals in the big button shootout. So, you like to have lane choice. There's no question about that.
All right, Scott, I want to wish you well. Hope it's a good, safe one for you. That's a great race to try to win up there in Englishtown, and, of course, we'll be watching this afternoon. Good luck to you, and, again, congratulations on a great win.
Pat, thanks for having me. Hopefully I can talk to you a little sooner next time.
All right, coming up after this, Rocket Rick gets roasted. But first, here's the rest of this week's Mopar Performance Report. Don't go away.
One of these engines was filled with Castrol Syntec, a synthetic oil, the rest with conventional oils. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it leaves a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oils. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Great balls of fire! You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. But your love drives a man insane. You broke my will, what a thrill. Doesn't it to raise your great balls of fire?
Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
Okay, 3 reasons not to buy BF Goodrich TA tires. The only hairpins you're comfortable with are the ones your grandmother uses. You get white knuckles on a dime store pony. You think 55 miles an hour is quite fast enough, thank you. BF Goodrich TA tires when you're ready to get serious.
Race Day, brought to you in part by Castrol Syntec, the synthetic oil that protects in ways other oils can't. And by Mopar Parts and the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them.
And welcome back, everybody. In Indianapolis, today is the longest day of the year for drivers who have qualified for the Indy 500 but have slow speeds. The bumping process continues today in the final qualifying session. Yesterday, the field was filled out to a maximum 33 cars with a pair of A.J. Foyt drivers getting into the field. As we look at this week's Delco Battery IndyCar report, we see that the first of those is lead driver Robbie Gordon, who ran a 4-lap average of 220 and change, which is at the moment good for 26. Foyt put out of work John Andretti in another of his cars and worked out nicely, as Andretti averaged 221 and the 25th starting spot for the moment. Davy Jones, Jeff Brabham, and Willie T. Ribbs had a list of other drivers making the show for now. The man on the bubble at the moment, although, is defending IndyCar Series title is Bobby Rahal, and we have word that he'll attempt to re-qualify sometime today. Now, when Rick Mears announced his retirement from IndyCar racing last December, he thought he was out of the hot seat. Last Sunday evening, he found out how wrong he was.
Several hundred of Mears' closest friends and associates decided it was time to roast the master of faster in a surprise party. It was a who's who of IndyCar racing.
Have you ever seen Rick Mears sign his autograph? How many of you have seen his autograph? Yeah, a lot. What does he say at the end of his autograph? He doesn't write Rick Mears. He says, Rick Mears, thanks. Gag me with a Smurf.
But one of the best zingers of the evening came from Mario Andretti, who took his best shot at Mears and himself.
Last year in New Hampshire, tried to see if I could get a rise out of him, and I put him in a wall, and so later on I go over to they have the medical center, and he's getting his wrist checked over by Dr. Trammell, and I went in there and I gave him the usual cockamamie story, like he was on the blind side of my mirror and this and that, and Rick says, no problem. He says, I shouldn't have been there. He goes, what do you have to do to this guy?
But beneath the humor, there was one sentiment best expressed by his former boss that, while personal, could have stood for the entire sport.
Rick, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for a fantastic job. You deserve everything anybody said about you tonight, good or bad, but I can tell you, without you, we never had this success, and we love you. Thank you very much.
And I think he'll be missed in this year's Indy 500. Now, the Canadian Stock Car Auto Racing Series, known as CASCAR, kicked off its season last weekend. That's part of our wrap of the action from last Sunday with Tom DeWeese.
The Budweiser Super Series kicked off the 1993 season right where they left off a year before in London, Ontario. Steve Robley won the series championship at this track last year, and he was eager to make it 2 in a row. By the 12th lap, he was already up front challenging Kerry Mix for the lead. Dale Sawchek was on the pole, but after his number 74 got pushed up into the wall, he could do no better than 18th on the day. Robley led throughout the afternoon, and most importantly, he was up front when the checkered flag fell. Andrew Farr came across in second, followed by Dale Shirtliff, Kerry Mix, and David Whitlock. The Busch Grand National North Series was running up in Winchester, New Hampshire. Tony Hirschman led most of the day, but then on lap 134, Kelly Moore got up behind him and sent the leader sliding. Hirschman was out of contention for the day, but he would still play a factor in the race outcome. On the final lap, Hirschman, who was running out in front of the leaders, got loose in his olds and allowed Robbie Crouch to get by Kelly Moore as he took the checkers. Following Moore was Mike McLaughlin, Dick McCabe, and Bobby Dragon. The World of Outlaws spent the weekend in Steve Kinser's home state of Indiana, and the Hoosier native wasted no time getting out in front of Dave Blaney on the first lap. Kinser, who won the night before in Terre Haute, ended up battling Stevie Smith most of the evening as the two fought for the number 1 spot. It looked like just a 2-car race until lap 27 when Dave Blaney made it a 3-car race. And during the final lap, the Buckeye Bullet got the best of Stevie Smith to win his 4th race of the year. Steve Kinser came in 3rd, Johnny Herrera 4th, and Jack Haldenshield came in 5th. Also in the Midwest, the ARCA Hooters Cup played a doubleheader over the weekend in Ohio. Sunday, Dave Weltmeyer was on the pole looking to make it a clean sweep after his win the night before in Xenia. He led early on, but a number of others found the number 1 spot, including Tim Steele in the number 16 car. But at the end, it was Weltmeyer winning his 2nd one in a row. Following him was Tim Steele, who held on for 2nd, followed by Bobby Boucher, Rick Shepard, and Jeremy Mayfield. This is Tom DeWeese reporting for Race Day.
All right, in this week's Kawasaki scoreboard, it's easy to see how dominant Jeremy McGrath has been in Supercross this year. His 9 wins have helped him build an insurmountable 55-point lead with just 2 races to go. Mike Kudrowski looks like he'll clinch for 2nd, while Jeff Stanton and Damon Bradshaw are fighting for 3rd. Steve Lamson is a sure 5th-place finisher. All right, that's it for this edition of Race Day, but tonight we'll head to Indianapolis and talk starting the field for the greatest spectacle in sports, and we'll also have racing action from around the country, including highlights of the Grand National Race that you can see live right here on TNN beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern. Until then, I'm Pat Patterson. Enjoy your racing day right here on TNN.
Communications provided by Racing Electronics, the official communications of Race Day. For a free catalog, call 1-800-272-7111. Equipment transportation provided by Isuzu Trucks, the number 1 selling low-cab forward truck in America. You'll get more payload, better maneuverability, and lower cost with an Isuzu truck. And by Featherlight Trailers, the official trailer of NASCAR and major sponsor of the NHRA. Remember to call Featherlight for all your trailer needs at 1-800-800-1230.